Look at me! In a line facing me. The sooner you're quiet, the sooner I might let you go back. Look at me, look at me, look at me. Turn around and look at me. Listen.
All of them have made a choice to live on the streets, and most of them are there because they run away from some type of abuse. But the problem is that the minute they hit the streets, that abuse is far, far greater. But as they say to me, as time goes on, and know that this is true, that they'd rather be abused by a stranger than by being abused by somebody who's supposed to love them and look after them, a family member.
It's to hopefully so that you'll get angry about this. And I don't mean angry in an aggressive way, but angry so that you'll want to do something. What was the name of this young man, you know me?
David.
Do something about David's situation, because you're in a position to do that.
But you're starting to get the idea that maybe things are starting to go missing. I don't know, but we wanted to try and give you a little bit of experience. Not that you can just come and sleep, but that you can get an idea of what it feels like for the kids that we're working with who have to live 100 times worse than you're living tonight, but they have to live like that every single day. The idea that you might see this here, that you need to keep an eye on everything, because that's what it's like for the kids on the streets. And hopefully the money that you go on to keep raising for global care, all that money is going to go out to help the children. This is how we're going to be spending the money. It's how we're going to use the money for the kids in the children's homes, but also for the sharp end, the work that we do out on the streets. So this is what we do. When we go out, we've got teams that go out during the day and at night as well in the evenings. We're going out there and we're going to try to befriend the young people, talk to them. A lot of them, as you've probably realised, don't have a very good perception of trusting adults. They don't believe that adults are there to help them. They're there to harm them. And so we've got to try to befriend them, get to know them and spend a lot of time with them. And through that, we start to develop trust. So that's one of But the money you're raising makes a massive difference. And for some of those, it's going to be a difference between life and death. They're rescued off the streets, came into the children's home, come back, and they've now come through the children's home, they've graduated as teachers, and if we go on 2 slides, this is Rita, who's now working with us in the children's home that Global Care supports, befriending them on the streets, helping them with coping strategies, helping them make wise decisions for their lives, giving them concrete solutions for leaving the streets, and then helping them, going to a home, providing them with the support, and then seeing them come out the other end like these girls and so many have done, come out the other end.
Facing me. quite simple. None of you have gone for days without eating. None of you have been in a position where you've had to sleep in the conditions you've just seen. None of you have been in that position. The whole point of this exercise, this activity tonight, is to give you a small sample of it. And to be quite honest, we're being quite soft on you because you're in a safe building. You're not under any threat from anyone from outside of this building. You're warmish. You're dry. Seriously, I want you to think about what you'd write on that board. I want you to think about what you'd write on that board. And while you're writing on that board, think about what the kids that you've just been hearing about would write on that board. What would they wish for before they died? So perhaps you'll go rushing down there. Just sit and think about this for a moment. And then when you've got something in your head, go and write it on the board. And as the board becomes full, and answer the other questions there too, as the board becomes full, we'll photograph it, wipe it clean, so there's space for everyone to write stuff on it. Is that okay?
When I grow up, why?
Oh, when I grow up.
It's not consent. Just do the pressure. No. Play the music song.
Getting colder now and maybe a little bit more uncomfortable and you're getting tired and that sort of thing. I just want to ask you a few questions really for you to try to have a think and then respond to me and to each other. How street life would change you, how it would affect you. So if you imagine what it would be like that you know, you end up on the streets, and then what would you then do? I remember years ago, one of the first kids I met on the street, he was telling me how he arrived on the street. Rather than him making a choice, he was on a bus journey. It took him 8 hours with his dad. His dad was going to take him to the city, and he was really excited about this. And his dad drove him to the city on the bus, and he was going to have this amazing day in the city. And his dad went into the supermarket. He said, "Wait for me there, son, and I'll be out later." And he said, and I waited, and I waited. And he said, and after 3 days, I realised my dad wasn't going to come back. And we never know whatever happened to his dad, and to you know, to what you know, why he never came back. But so he had to then make a decision. Okay, how do I now live on the street? First of all, where would you go? Yeah.
A place with a shelter.
Okay, somewhere with a shelter, like where?
In a garage.
A garage?
Shop. Shop porch.
Yeah, a porch. Would you decide that if you went to live on the streets that you'd live on your own or you'd live with others? If you saw other people living on the streets, your age, you'd want to live on your own. Why would you want to live on your own?
Like, if you don't know them, then you won't be able to trust them, like, and you like have to build up that trust. But whereas if you're on your own, then you're just defending for yourself. You're not like defending for whatever it is for everybody else.
Would you do anything to survive? Do you think within what you're thinking of, like your own values, of things that you think are right, things that you think are wrong, would you ever get to a point of changing those values? What would
your mental state was in.
what would make you change those values? Yeah.
If your mental state was so low, like you were going into depression and you hadn't found anybody and you were just missing everybody, then I think you would, like, there'd be kind of a line where some people would just kind of be like, I give up, that's it.
I don't know how much you think a life is worth, someone like Guatemala and Honduras, Some of the kids can earn £20 and it's a job that can last them for an hour, and they can earn £20. £20 over there is quite a large sum of money, and so they can go to a person, they would give them a gun, show them a photograph, said that's the person over there, I want you to go and shoot. They go and shoot them, and then they give the gun back and they get £20. But some of you wouldn't do that. Can you start to see that, you know, there were some things that you'd get so desperate that you would think that's wrong, but street kids come to a point when you're living on the streets, you get so desperate that those things that you thought were wrong, then you think, well, maybe it's okay now. And then as time goes on, how do you think living on the street would change you? What would start to change in you? Yeah.
I think when you go onto the streets, you might be like really confident, or you might be like really shy and keep to yourself.
Yeah.
But I think eventually you're going to have to learn to stick up for yourself.
I said abuse every 20 minutes.
That's horrible. I'm sorry, but that's just not even. I'm usually quite a jovial sort of person, but I've not heard that clip until this moment, and I kind of wish I'd heard it before, because I might have prepared something more eloquent to say than that's just horrible. Every 20 minutes, a child on the streets is abused. Are you starting to get the picture? Is it starting to feel a bit nasty now? You're starting to put yourselves a little bit in the shoes of hundreds of thousands of children all over the world. Face that every single night, not just once, on a Friday night in safe Coventry, where you're surrounded by people who will make sure you're safe. Every single night. And I really wish I'd listened to that clip before we came out tonight.
There is no adult that these children can turn to. They live in a world totally devoid of any security from any adult. There is no system in place which they can turn to. There's no phone number they can phone so they can get support. They cannot go to the police, they can go nowhere. There is nobody else for them to turn to. I always find that really, really challenging. To understand that youngsters live in a world that is completely and utterly devoid of anybody who really cares too much about them.
So where can they turn? I'll answer this one for you. I'm looking at where they can turn.
Guatemala and Honduras. Tell us a little bit about what happened tonight.
Well, we were sleeping and then that monster song came on and then we went back to sleep. Then it came back on again and then after that, and then at the end there was police and they had their dog.
So the police turned up?
Yeah.
With a dog?
Yeah.
And did they threaten you?
Yeah.
But that's a little bit like how it's like for the kids in Latin America, isn't it?
Yeah. It was horrible. It was different. Because like you just wanted to rest, but you got moved all the time, and you got woken up, and you got disturbed, and you couldn't get warm or comfy. I suppose it's hard for them because like that happens to them all their lives. I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live without like a shelter. It was horrible. It was cold.
Now this...
The police sometimes beat hundreds of people up and learn about just why people go homeless. I've learned more why people go homeless.
That's cool. Do you think it's made you appreciate anything that you've got a bit more?
Yeah.
Like what?
Just TV, games, money. They haven't got them.
Freezing, much worse than that. They're going to see people walk by with all their new things and everything, and they're not going to have anything. That's going to be sad. I'm not going to have my own family, because I find family important at Christmas, but they won't have it. That's sad.
I think if they made a donation and tried to understand how it's like for them, like with no family to go to, and like how it's going to be cold and damp on the streets, then it'd be good if like they got the experience as well and then donated money to help the kids.